Hi everybody, Jo here again. Thanks so much for popping in. As always, looking forward to spending some time with you. Now, this is an extra little catch-up this Friday. Sorry I've not managed to join you the last couple of Fridays. Either I've been unwell or Jensen was unwell at school and I had to go and pick him up, so that was extra grandma duties for the day. Something's just got in the way. Do you know what? So I'm really sorry, but I'm glad for those of you that messaged and said you miss me. Was I okay? And yes, I am, but just a bit frazzled. Getting ready for my holiday. I need a holiday. Anyway, so it's lovely to be able to just pop in and see how you are. And enough about me. How are you? How are you doing? How are things going? I hope you're doing okay. I know a couple of you are struggling at the minute. So as always, I say big hug for those that need it. And it is nice to be able to come in and just spend a bit of time with you. I did miss popping in. I missed my cheeky extra coffee as well, I have to say. So today I'm coming in with a card design that I thought would, for those of you that are new, just to show you don't need a lot of products. Yes, we can do in-depth designs, but also I've had a lot of migraines recently and I've not had the almost, I was going to say time, but I don't really mean time. I mean capacity in my head, in my wellness, to make a full card that would take lots of colouring, lots of time. And I think sometimes when we are unwell or busy, we need a design that I think is effective. I mean, I think this is beautiful, but it doesn't take a lot of delicate, intricate colouring. And that's where, for me, with a headache, my eyes really struggle. So I thought this might be useful for some of you as well. And this is going to go on an A6 card blank, but it could also go, at the minute I've been using 5x7 card blanks. So my piece of multifarious card is 5.5 inches by 3.5. Because I did think it could even go on a 6x6. Say I popped it, say that was my 6x6. Do it that way, look, that would make more sense. And that was the design look. I could stamp a sentiment there. Or I could pop it that way and put it at this edge and put a ribbon down there. So there are lots of things you can do. As I say, I'm just coming in with the little guide for you. Now, the first thing, I'm going to pop that Sharpie line round. Now, as always, I would recommend a piece of kitchen roll, just because even though you think you've got clean hands, do you know what? There may be something on there. Piece of copy paper underneath, black pen, and just drag down the side. And I find if I hold the card near the edge, I've less chance. I say less chance because these things can still happen. And I know quite a lot of you like to use a ruler for this. That's fine. You know, I always say, whatever technique you're happy doing, that's fine. We all have our different little ways. But this one just happens to work for me. And we'll get rid of that because I keep this look for doing my lines. And for this, I thought I'd use the beautiful Lilium set. And on it, there's a large and a small Lilium. And we're just going to use the Versafine Clair, the Nocturne. And I'm going to stamp the larger one first. And I'm just going to turn this round. And I want it off-centre, just slightly off-centre. But I found it easier to stamp this way. And again, there's a lot of detail in this stamp. So give that ink time to soak in. And then we've got a smaller one, look. So again, don't pop your block on there. A, you might smudge this, but B, you might just have a mark on there. And we want to keep some white space on this design. Almost we want to be in charge of where the colour is. Now I've got ink on here. So for me, I just need to wipe that off. I know some people can stamp and it won't transfer, but as eggs are eggs, it will if I don't wipe it off. So, and we'll pop another one just to the side, but coming from a similar place at the base. And then we'll have a third one. Once again, just get rid of that little bit of ink. And again, I'm going to come further down for this. Just, I think it looks nice if we have the three, look. it's a nice little grouping, that. Now I'm going to blot that and also pop the lid on. And then I knew I wanted a sentiment. Now there's lots of options here. You could put your circle mask on and give yourself a background with the moon, but I didn't want to do it for this. I just wanted it quite, well, not with the moon. So I've gone for one of our sentiments, and I like the words. This is called Secret Night, but it was the shape I liked. And again, if you're not sure, just pop your acetate on, look. And I'm thinking I'm going to start in the middle, look, and then I'm going to add above and below. Little tip, I always put the arrow, as you know, on the back of my stamp so I get it the right way up. And I'm going to come in with Lilac Bloom. Now what I did was I checked this to see whether I liked first or second generation, and I decided to go for first. So once again, I'm going to turn my card round, and I'm just going to get it sort of mid flowers and stamp. And then I'm just going to ink up the top and then just continue that there. And then ink up the bottom part and again continue this. And look, can you see, I just love that shape of those words coming down. So again, lid on, really important. You don't want to put your hand in it, and we'll give that a blot. One lady asked recently why my ink didn't run when I did the stencil work or the background work with the moon mask, and it's purely because I blot it. So your Versafine Clair, permanent ink but slower drying. But once it's blotted, we'll be fine there. So now's the time to add some lovely stencil work. And I've gone for this one called Flora because I almost wanted to feel it flowing. And again, just take your time looking for a nice area. Make sure you don't get the edge of this, otherwise you'll get a harsh line. But I like the way these flow, you see. That's the bit I'm looking for. So I'm going to use violet chalk, but my violet chalk is quite an old ink pad. So I've also got Flying Fig. Now I know some of you haven't got this yet, but your violet chalk will probably be a deeper colour than mine. So a little tip to richen mine up a little bit, I'm just going to put my stencil brush in the Flying Fig to start off with and pop it in the lid of the violet chalk and almost mix that ink, because I just want it slightly darker in this corner. And as I say, my violet chalk's quite a well-used ink pad now. So once I've added in that corner, I'm just going to, and again, if you're not sure how it looks, lift your stencil up, look, but do hold it at this side. And then it's up to you. I just want the stencil work over the flowers, a little bit over the words, and a little bit just flowing in that corner, just up here. So there's just parts like this that I want to just concentrate on. So if I lift that up, oh, that's looking nice. Maybe just a tiny bit more, just up here, over the flowers and around the flowers. Tiny bit in that corner, maybe that one. Yep, that's enough. Now that I'm going to keep, spritz it and pop that in my journal. So I've got another background ready. Now, as you can see, that stencil work, and look, so it's darker here but lighter here, and it tones so beautifully with that beautiful sentiment. Now, if you want, you could colour these in, but for me, as I say, at a time when I'm just not into spending a lot of time colouring in, but you could, what I'm saying is you could take this, you could add a bow here, There's a lot you could do. These flowers are beautiful to decoupage. So if you're feeling up to it and you just want to spend the afternoon stamping these, cutting them out, decoupaging them, that would be beautiful. If you wanted to add a little bumblebee or a little dragonfly, the butterfly, again, there are so many options where you could take this. For me, I'm just going to come in with one of my beautiful sentiments, and I'm going for courage, because at the minute I feel there's a lot of us that are actually showing courage just in our day-to-day lives. And I'm gonna, yeah, I think that corner there, and I've gone for the black. I could have added the white and put a black line round, and that would have gone with the line around the card design, but I'm really into the black at the minute. And then I've got my lovely uni ball, the silver one, and I just added a couple of almost little, I didn't want to go for white, I just wanted to add a little bit of silver. Now again, you could follow the line all the way around if you wanted. I just want to add a couple of little extra, so I know they're there. It's not a lot, just a little bit of something, maybe just there. But I do want to come in with my posca. If you're not into your white posca splats, obviously leave them off. But for me, I just want to add them right across the whole design. Again, gentle tapping on this bit here. But you know, I think to start off with, you could take this a lot further. But as I say, if you haven't got a lot of time, it'd be great to batch card make. It would make a sympathy card if you needed one, and sorry to anybody who does, but it would make a get well card. Would also make a beautiful birthday card. And as I say, you can enhance it and add extra bits, but for a starting point, I think that is beautiful. And also, I think it's achievable if you're having an off day, if Mr Mojo's gone, if you're just not feeling well, if, like me, you suddenly unexpectedly have somebody to look after, a poorly child who says, how many hours am I going to spend with you today, Grandma? Yeah, 5. So, you know, however you're feeling, this is achievable, and it doesn't need a lot of products. But you could take it further and spend a whole day colouring and really making. You could maybe stamp one of our beautiful flying fairies around here. As I say, I know you lot, you're so clever. You'll start with this, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, you'll be adding extra bits. And yes, it would look beautiful in your journal as well. So thank you very much for joining me. I hope you have a lovely, lovely weekend. Spend it doing something nice that you really enjoy. And just for me, have an extra brew and cheeky biscuit. I'll see you again next week. Love and hugs from me. Bye for now.